Do you want to turn this? And you get this. Keep watching and I'll teach you all about how to turn tri-tips into amazement. We're going to do a rub. We're going to smoke them undercooked. We're then going to bag them, ice them, freeze them, and then use a sous vide to finish. It is, bar none, probably one of the best ways to do a large amount of meat, and it's very cost effective, plus highly tasty. When you buy your tri-tips, buy them unpeeled, which means that it has the fat layer right on the back. What you're going to do is take your knife and just skirt right underneath that. You're going to slice it right off, and if on the other side you see a thing that looks like silver skin, take your knife and cross-hatch that. That will make it less chewy and break down that tissue. I've got a couple tablespoons of avocado oil, and I'm going to use just a little spritz of liquid smoke. I know it's kind of cheaty, but I'll tell you, it won't matter. Just spin it up a little bit. Oil and liquid smoke, and give these guys a good rub down. You can see they get a nice sheen and a gloss to them, which means that you're going to have really, really good adhesion of your rub. All right, so what we're going to do for making that rub, let's get ourselves a bowl. We're going to start off with 2/3 of a cup of salt. That'll be our base. Again, for a tri-tip, you don't need anything that's really overly sugary, sweet, etc. What we're going to look at here is 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons chili powder, and about half a tablespoon, sorry, not teaspoons, tablespoons. 2 tablespoons garlic, 2 tablespoons chili, and just a little bit of cinnamon. Kind of adds a little bit of a different flavor to it. And 2 tablespoons of freshly ground black pepper, about 2 tablespoons of chili flake, as well as a tablespoon of turmeric. Now, turmeric is a very interesting spice. It does add kind of yellow color a little bit, but not really. You won't be able to tell on the final product. You're going to mix this up, and what we're looking for is that everything looks nice and happy. That looks like a very happy rub. So again, it is a lot of salt, but you have to realize that what we're doing here is because we're bagging the meat after we're done cooking it off the smoker. This looks like a lot, but it really isn't for 5 tri-tips. So we're not going to be doing a ton of salting or a ton of seasoning, because the action of being inside that bag and then letting the bag kind of cook the meat finally is going to let any bit of spice and smoke penetrate the meat entirely. It makes it really good. When putting on your rub, you might want to use a little tray. That way you can layer the meat with the rub. That will allow it to be evenly dispersed throughout the bowl in this case, because it's going to be 24 hours of this rub in the refrigerator, and then it's going to be perfect. All right, so let's take a quick view. This has been 24 hours sitting around, and you can see that the meat has visibly changed. What we're going to want to do is let this come up to temperature just a little bit. You don't have to worry about it being super cold. And we're going to go ahead and throw this on the smoker. You're going to get your smoker to 225, get it all ready to go, clean the grates, and don't be gross. And the next time you see me, we're going to throw some stuff on a grill. All right, so now we've got ourselves a probe thermometer set to 120 degrees. Yeah, 120. That's because we do not want to cook it all the way. We want to undercook it. And remember, carryover heat is a thing. So what will happen is that meat's going to cook another 5 or 10 degrees over, depending. So we do not want it going past what we want as our target temperature. It's 133 degrees, which is a medium rare, right? Really tasty. So what you'll see here is we've got our tri-tips on. I've got 5 of them, but I can't fit 5. You can see that turmeric, just that little bit, puts an interesting color on the whole thing. Put your probe thermometer in your biggest piece and stick it, in this case, to the right. You got to know where the hot spots are on your smoker, but you're going to let that go. It's going to take a while because it's windy as all hell here in Reno, so got a nice little system coming, but so you have to watch that stuff, but just kind of keep an eye. So basically what you're going to do here is chill, let this come up to about 80, 90, flip them, and then do your thing. So we're just about ready to go. What we're going to do is get our food saver out. We got our food saver bags. You want to make these pretty big because they have to be able to fit the tri-tip. A pan, because this pan is going to be useful for putting the tri-tips on while we move them into bags to get them vacuum safe, because that's the trick to this one. So what we're going to do is as soon as that thing comes off the smoker, we immediately get them on and in those bags because we want to minimize the juice loss. One thing you're going to get with meat is when you let it rest, the meat juices are going to fall out of that meat, but then reabsorb themselves after everything starts to cool. So we want to avoid as much of the juice going out as possible. What you're going to also have here is a big bowl of ice. I just take all the ice out of my ice maker and dump it in. We're going to be putting the tri-tips in as soon as we get them off of the smoke, as soon as we get them all vacuum sealed, immediately into the ice water. 18120, this will be perfect. We're going to grab one just to demonstrate what we got to do. Let's grab this little guy. Bam. Yeah, I hear ya. These are going to be real floppy off of the smoker because they ain't cooked yet. So here we go. Okay, so you see that nice color right there? It looks perfect. It sure is pretty. But you need to get that guy in a bag. So immediately in a bag and try to avoid hitting the sides as much as possible so you don't get crap right in your connection area. Move that out the way. There we go. I'm going to move this tri-tip a little bit, try to get it lower in the bag. There we go. Lower in the bag. Seal. Boom. So what you're going to notice now is that the bag is going to start grabbing out the air, and as you watch it, it's going to start pulling the juices straight out of the bag, right up into here. I press it down just a little bit because I know this guy needs a little help. As you see here, very, very minimal juice loss, which means all the juice and the fat and all the good stuff is inside that bag. As soon as it gets done, we're going to go ahead and inspect the seal. The one thing you definitely need to verify is make sure that the seal itself is perfect. Because if the seal's bad, remember you're sticking it in water and you're going to boil your meat alive rather than pre-cooking it within the bag. Right there, I saw it. Bam. You see the juices coming back in. That tells you you had something in the seal. Either there was a piece of spice or something messing it up, but whatever. So now we're good to go. As soon as that thing's done sealing. So don't trust your vacuum sealer. Again, another one right there. It's because there's crap right on the fucking vacuum sealer. Bam. Third one's the charm. That won't be a big deal. You see there's only a slight amount of stuff coming in and out air-wise. So it ain't the problem, but always verify your seal before saying anything's good to go, no matter what you're doing when you're using an air sealer like this. Now I check it out. I'm looking. Hot as hell. But now it's good. All right, quick. Let's take this guy, get it in the ice. So grab yourself. We want to try to get as much contact with the meat as possible with the ice. And again, remember, it's going to have some friends, so don't worry about getting it perfect. So what I do now is I leave that until I get all the rest, then I fill it full of water, just kind of like this. All right, let's try that again now. So the reason we put the smoked meats in the bag in ice is because what we want to do is drive the internal temperature down of the meat as low as possible. It's a technique used for when you put in the freezer. It minimizes freezer burn because the colder that meat is before it hits the freezer, the smaller the ice crystals are that will form when you freeze the meat. The smaller those crystals, the less chance you get of having that mealy, gross kind of freezer burn taste. And so we took it out of our ice bath, dried it off as best we could, used a Sharpie and write what it is. Tri-tip, put the date. Now, at this point, you can throw it in the bottom of your freezer, let it just chill there until you need to eat, in which case, you then bring out one, throw it in your sous vide, which we're going to cover next. All right, and then for one of the last steps now is we have one of our frozen tri-tips. This one I did, January 27th, 23. You're going to fill the water up on your sous vide. So this is what it's called, a sous vide. It's basically just a water stick that sits inside of a tub of water. So you'll take your tri-tip here and literally just dunk it in. You're looking just to make sure you hit the minimum water line. But it's basically just a hot water bath. The whole point of a sous vide is that it will hold the temperature of the water. It will at about 133 degrees is what we're shooting for. What that does is create a heat that is consistent, and then that heat will pass through to the meat, and it will not get higher, it will not get lower. It'll stay exactly 133. That's the trick to this technique. So now that we've got our sous vide all set, water plugged in, let's go ahead and set. You're going to leave it at 133 because I'm shooting for a medium rare, but it'll be kind of a little high on the medium side. And then just pump that guy up as high as low as you want. It actually doesn't matter. That's the best part about this technique is you're able to do any number of these tri-tips. You can do as many as your container will fit. So in my case, I can potentially do like 4 in this thing if they're small, but usually 2 or 3 if you're doing like a party. So that frozen tri-tip in a sous vide, it is glorious. Now let's wait probably a lot of hours. You want to go for at least 3 or 4 at a minimum, because then it'll make sure it's cooked. But the longer it goes, the more that connective tissue starts breaking down and gelatinizing and getting super tender. And those spices that are on the outside of your meat will then blend together super nice. All right, so sous vide's been in here 9 hours with this tri-tip. Unplug it, and all you gotta do, that's it. Lift it out the bag. So what we're gonna do is dispose. Put this stuff over here, keep it out of the way, give it some room to operate. We've already got the bag and a bowl ready to go, so we've got it where we want to go. As you can see, not a whole lot of juice is falling out of this meat. All you're gonna do is slip that bag. Before you open it all the way, let the juice fall out. You're gonna want this juice to mix all your meat back in, because that's some good stuff. Okay. Now fully take the rest of that. And there you go. Bam. All that good stuff. So now, look at this. See the smoke ring? The damn thing is almost all smoke ring. It's exactly what you want, and it's super juicy. So let me ask the camera lady what she thinks. It's good?
Amazing.
Very good. Cut it nice and thin like that. Stick it in your juice, mix it together, and you've got the best damn tri-tip you'll ever have. So, now that you know the trick, remember, we're going to smoke that meat, we're going to undercook it. Putting it in the vacuum bags, getting it as cold as possible before putting it in the freezer, using a sous vide to finish it, and you'll have a perfect medium rare tri-tip every single time. All right, thanks again for watching, guys. See ya.